Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Des, and today's video is going to be sort of a vlog style wrap up of what I read in August. Allie from Allie Do Is Read mentioned this in a recent video of hers, and I was like, that is genius, because I can never remember anything about what I read in the beginning of the month, at the end of the month, throughout the month as I finish books. I'm just gonna hop on here and talk about them. So you'll kind of see me throughout the month, but we are like halfway through the month and I have finally finished 2 books. I've been reading really slowly this month for some reason. I'm not really sure what happened, but I'm also really enjoying what I'm reading this month, so that's fine. I don't mind that I'm reading less this month because I'm enjoying what I've read. And those books are 10,000 Stitches and Bug Boys. The first book I read this month is called 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater. This is the second book in the Regency Fairy Tales series by Olivia Atwater. The first book is called Half a Soul. I read it about a year ago now, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the first book, and I was meaning to read this pretty soon after. Clearly that didn't happen. Every single time I went to a bookstore, I tried to find this, and I never could. No one ever carried it. And so I went to my library for the first time, and it was just on the shelf right there, waiting for me. So I grabbed it, and it actually ended up being perfect because it also fulfills the prompt from my August TBR reading jar prompt video. The prompt was a number in the title, and I had talked about possibly reading 8 Bears, but this has numbers. It has a number in the title, so it's perfect. It actually worked out. So I, in a roundabout way, completed that prompt still. So that's great. Anyways, this book follows Effie, who is a housemaid, and she falls in love with a gentleman. But soon after, a fairy stumbles into her life and promises to help her win this gentleman's heart in exchange for embroidering 10,000 stitches into his jacket. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I don't think I liked it quite as much as I liked the first book, but I think that's because the first book had a little bit more of a mystery element to it, and I tend to like those things a lot. I did like the magical elements and the fairy elements of this though, and I did find Effie kind of annoying for a while, but then I realized that she's just really naive and she just has to learn some lessons, and she did. Also, the epilogue really made this book for me. I loved the way that it tied everything together. I really enjoy these books, and I'm really excited to read the third one as well, because these are very cozy and low stakes kind of books. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. And if you like Regency and fairy tales and light fantasy and those kinds of things, I think you would really enjoy these books. Also, if you're into like cozy fantasy or like low stakes fantasy, these are great. These are really great books. So the second book that I read so far this month and just finished the other day is Bug Boys by Laura Netzger. Netzger. I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I just know that Allison of Allison Pages really likes these books, so I trusted and I picked it up from my library, and I loved it. This was fantastic. My initial thought is that this book reminds me of Adventure Time. You're going on little episodic adventures throughout the book, kind of like how Adventure Time episodes feel, and you're just with these 2 buddies and they're having a good time. They're bug boys. They're so cute. I really liked that you're kind of just thrown into their adventures with them, and there's no like world building or explanations about what's going on. You just hop into adventures with them and you learn little tidbits about them and about their friends and about their world in just these little chunks at a time. and I thought it was really sweet. I had a lot of fun. Also, I think it's really cute because a lot of these stories in this end with like a little message, you know, like be kind and like help your friends and things like that. Yeah, I thought it was really cute. I thought it was really special. The illustrations are really cute. It's full color. Yeah, it was just very cute, and I loved going on these little adventures with these two friends. I've already put the next ones on hold at my library because I thought this was so fun and I really enjoyed it. All right, those are the books that I have finished recently. Like I said, we're a little over halfway through the month now. In my August TBR video, I mentioned that I was going to read A Most Agreeable Murder, and I really, really want to read it, but my hold is taking so long at the library. And so I thought about buying the book, and I looked it up, and it's like $27, and there are no paperback versions because it's new. I apologize. I will be reading that hopefully later this year when the hold comes through, but I just really didn't want to pay that much to purchase this book. So I was trying to find a book that feels similar to that, like a historical mystery. I was scrolling and came across A Quiet Life in the Country. This is a book that I've seen Megan from Meg with Books mention quite a few times. I think it's one of her all-time favorite mystery series, and it was one that I was considering reading, and then I realized it's also on Kindle Unlimited right now. So I started that one just the other night, and I'm liking it so far. I'm not very far into it yet, but that's what I'm currently reading. So hopefully I will be back with an update on that soon. Hello again. It is a while later. August is actually over now. I didn't end up updating you earlier because I didn't finish any books earlier. I finished 2 books on August 31st, which is really satisfying for my brain to like finish out the month on some finished books. I'm going to tell you about those 2 books, and then I thought maybe we could go over like some of my statistics for the month and the books that I bought this month. There's not a lot, but I thought it'd be fun to make that a part of this as well. Okay, so the next book that I finished was the Tea Dragon Tapestry, which is the 3rd book in the Tea Dragon Society series. They are graphic novels, and I have read all 3 of them on Kindle Unlimited. I read this in one sitting during my lunch break. They are super short graphic novels. They're very quick to read, very fun. I really love them. These books are really special. They're very sweet, very cozy. The illustrations are gorgeous. I would really like to own the physical copies someday because they are just gorgeous, big, hardback graphic novels. They're so pretty, but really I don't have too much to say about this one other than I really loved seeing all of the characters from the previous 2 books kind of come together and how their stories intertwined and kind of how those stories wrapped up together. It was really, really cute. Yeah, it was a really sweet book. I really love these graphic novels, and I'm really sad that the series is over. But if you haven't read them, I highly recommend it. They're very fast, very cute. The next book I finished was A Quiet Life in the Country by T.E. Kinsey. My initial reaction was that I was feeling really slowed down by the dialect because I'm not used to English, British accent, and reading that takes a while for me to like switch into it. But once I got reading, I found that that kind of like faded to the background and wasn't a problem anymore. It was just something that took me a minute to get into. I've had this problem in the past with other books too, like the flat share. I think I had the same problem where I was kind of like thrown off by the dialect and I ended up putting that book down, but when I picked it back up, it was fine. If you didn't know, this book is about a lady and her lady's maid that moved to the countryside to just have a quiet retirement life. And what they don't know is that this town is basically the murder capital of England. So they get kind of caught up in these mysteries from the get-go. This book is told from the lady's maid perspective, which reminds me a lot of the Inspector Poirot books by Agatha Christie. And so you don't get to see like all the inner workings of the detective's find, But what I really like about this is her lady's maid is really clever also and figures out a lot of things on her own, and so it's really fun to see her perspective. I also really loved that we had 2 female main characters and they're really awesome detectives. Also, the humor in this book is so good. The lady and her maid have a really fun banter and they are kind of hilarious to listen to, so I really enjoyed it. I definitely want to continue in the series. I thought it was really fun. I think most of them are on Kindle Unlimited. The first one is for sure, and I'm pretty sure I've seen a few others on Kindle Unlimited too, so that's really fun. It was also really short, pretty fast, not super complex. I felt like I could follow the story and the mystery perfectly well, and yeah, I thought it had a satisfying conclusion and I really enjoyed it. So I do want to continue those. So those are the only other 2 books that I read this month, and so I figured now I would go over kind of my stats with you. So in August, I read a total of 4 books. It was 952 pages. I should also mention I was listening to Heroes by Stephen Fry on audiobook and made it through like half of the book almost. And I just fell off of it because I got re-addicted to listening to podcasts. And so I wasn't listening to my book at all. So I didn't finish it, but I did also listen to 8.5 hours of that book. My moods for the month were lighthearted, hopeful, funny, relaxing, mysterious, and adventurous, with all 4 of those books having lighthearted as a theme. Okay, sorry, I got a phone call in the middle of that. I was really in the mood for some lighthearted reads, and all of my books ended up being that. So that was really fun. Pace, 50% were fast, 50% were medium. Page number, all 4 books were under 300 pages, which says a lot. I was really not feeling long books this month, and I was having a hard time getting through books at all. So even those 2 full-length novels that I read that were under 300 pages took me a good bit to read. I was just reading really slow this month and wasn't really feeling it too much. 100% of what I read this month was fiction. I did not read any nonfiction books this month. 3 of the books I read were fantasy, 2 were middle grade, 2 were historical, 2 were graphic novels, 1 was LGBTQIA+, 1 was romance, and 1 was mystery. So most books usually have more than 1 genre, or they have several subgenres, so that's why that doesn't add up to 4. And then tags. I use my tags on Storygraph to keep track of certain things, certain metrics that I want to measure. So one of the things that I measure are Kindle Unlimited books that I read and library books that I read. So this month, 2 of the books I read were Kindle Unlimited, and those were the Tea Dragon Tapestry and A Quiet Life in the Country. And then 2 books that I read this month were from the library, and that was 10,000 Stitches and Bug Boys, and that was all 4 books that I read. I didn't read any of my owned books this month, which is fine. 2 of the books were physical print books, and then 2 of the books were digital that I read on my Kindle or my iPad. I also don't really rate books unless they're a 5-star. I really enjoyed all the books that I read this month. None of them were just like screaming 5 stars for me. Maybe I can put in my pages and minutes read throughout the month of August. You can see that I was listening to a lot pretty early in the month, and then I completely fell off of listening to my book in the second half of the month, and then you can see where I had some like spikes. Those are usually where I was reading graphic novels, because I read so many pages at once when I read a graphic novel because they read so much faster, but you can see that my pages were pretty low throughout the month. A lot of days was like 5 to 10 to maybe 20 pages. So I had some pretty slow reading days. I don't really mind that I didn't read a ton this month because I really enjoyed the things that I read, and I think what I needed was to slow down a little bit this month. The last thing I want to mention are the books that I purchased this month. I like to keep track of all the books that I buy every month so that I am being conscious of things that I'm purchasing, and it's working really well for me. So I only purchased 2 books this last month. One of those books was Heroes, the audiobook by Stephen Fry, so I used one of my Audible credits to get that. And then I also purchased Get a Life Chloe Brown from Costco. See my nice Costco sticker? So I purchased this book from Costco kind of on a whim because I've heard really awesome things about it, and I would really like to read it soon. I'm excited about this. Let me know if I should pick this up soon, or if you've read it, let me know how you liked it. I'm looking forward to reading more next month. Let me know if you liked this type of vlog style wrap-up video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.